I'm living in Kalispell, Montana currently, and my background is construction. I've been in it all my life. Our story starts with my wife and I. We were in a rear-end collision, and I was just thinking before the call, looking over at her and dumbfoundedly seeing that she could not move. She was paralyzed in the vehicle. And so here we are in the middle of an intersection waiting on an ambulance, and I can't do anything to help my wife. And, it was, looking back, it's fairly emotional, but it started us down a journey that we didn't know where it was going, and we couldn't find any answers. A couple hours later, she was able to walk, but she had pain and numbness on the right-hand side of her body, and her head was tilted to the side. And the surgeon we met with showed us the MRI. He said, it's obvious you've got 3 bulging discs in your neck putting pressure on your spinal cord, but you're not debilitated enough to warrant the very tricky surgery of stretching out your neck and cleaning out those discs on the inside. And it just ended up to where it put us, he sent her home with some pills, and she was allergic to the pills, and it put us on a quest then for the next 5 years.
Wait, Leonard, let me interrupt you for just 1 second. Somebody on the speaker line, I can hear what's going on in the background. So if you're on a speaker line and you haven't, it's not your turn to speak yet. If you could just mute yourself and then unmute when you come back on, so we can hear Leonard the best. So thank you, Leonard. Please go ahead. My
pleasure. Yeah, it was. It started us on a quest looking for answers because Ruth spent every day in bed. She was in pain every day, in tears every day, and we just didn't want to leave any rock unturned. And we for 4.5 years, we were taking nutrition that was being prescribed by one of the founders of the Steer Naturopathic College in Seattle. Had a great reputation in the twilight of his career knowing nutrition, so she got diagnoses of fibromyalgia TMJ and had very severe arthritis. We saw an X-ray where every vertebrae had 1 or more arthritic spurs, and she had 0 quality of life. We made the trip to Seattle, Washington, which was 150 miles away at that time, every 2 weeks to get a chiropractic adjustment just to help her maintain her sanity with her pain levels. And we had gotten to the point where we just about given up, and then Relive came into our life, and I said that we're already taking everything that's in these cans, why do we need it? But because of the money-back guarantee, we started, and for the first time in 5 years, we saw changes in her pain levels. In 3 weeks' time, it was like somebody flipped a switch, and one aspect of her pain was gone. And over the course of the next 1.5 years, she got her life back with amazing things. I mean, it just completely changed her. Her blood work went to perfect from extremes. Her fibroids cleared up. Her cystic acne cleared up. I tell everybody I got a younger woman out of the whole deal because she truly today is younger than looking. Her hair is better. Her skin is better. It's amazing. My background, I said, is in construction, and I just flat out was wearing out. I was dealing with joint pain in my ankles, knees, and lower back. I wasn't sleeping good at night. Almost every night of the week, I'd wake up with leg cramps in 1 or both legs, and it'd usually be about 3 in the morning, and it'd end my sleep for the night. But those cramps would go from my hips clear to my toes, and it didn't matter what I did, changing my diet, nothing helped. And then life got worse. I fell over 8 feet and landed on my back. And thankfully, the impact didn't break anything. But the soft tissue damage left me feeling like my arms weren't attached to my body properly. I couldn't raise them above my head. I couldn't sit comfortably. I didn't sleep in my own bed for the next 1.5 years before Relive. I had to give up my contractor's license, so now we not only didn't have a whole complete family, we didn't have an income. Saw what happened for my wife, got started on the products, and then almost immediately I started sleeping through the night. And over the course of the next few months, my irritable bowel cleared up, my migraines cleared up from that fall. I was able to get my contractor's license back again in my first month and sign a contract to build a house. And And I'm 62 today. I've been under pressure 14 years. I feel awesome. I'm amazed at how good I feel. I'm working out 3 or 4 days a week, and it just when we started seeing the changes with Ruth, we knew we had to get our son on the product, because William, when he was 3 weeks old, he had his first ear infection. In the first 6 years of his life, he was continuously on one antibiotic after another. With those ear infections, we just didn't shake him. The doctor made the comment. He says, "I've never, we're just not gaining anything. The only thing we've managed to accomplish so far is we've avoided the surgery for the tubes in the ears." And William was at a low growth level because of those antibiotics, I'm sure. William also had very severe ADD. He could not sit still and focus for anything. He was kicked out of 2 different preschools because he wasn't able to focus and couldn't sit still. He can talk today about what it was like not being able to sit still and knowing you had to, but just you couldn't. It just wasn't in his repertoire. He had very severe allergies, couldn't play outside because of his allergies, couldn't have pets because of his allergies, and his first 4 months on the products, we noticed the eczema he'd had his entire life up until that point was gone and has never come back. That first summer, he was able to go to the pool and learn how to swim and just be a little boy for the first time in his life. William had some pretty severe learning challenges, and he was, besides his ADD, he was diagnosed with apraxia and dyspraxia. For him, that meant he had no fine motor control over his eyes, and he didn't have control over his palate. He wasn't really talking at age 6 when Rita came into our life, and he was struggling with reading. He couldn't, he'd have 3 or 4 letters of the alphabet that he could get 95% of the time, and he'd get up to 19 or 20, and he'd fall back to the 3 or 4. We introduced him to a program we thought would be of a benefit. The clinical people there monitored him every week, and he was doing the same thing the first half of the year, 3 or 4 up to the 19 or 20 and back to the 3 or 4. And he was scoring 0 on comprehension. You could read him a story, literally, and he couldn't tell you anything back. And at Christmas time, I sat down with him. I said, William, we've been paying you $0.25 for so many pages of homework. Now we're going to start charging you $0.25 for every time we find a shape that's not finished. And William caught his attention. He never missed a shape from that point on. And in 6 weeks' time, I got a phone call from his teacher. He had read through his very first book for the very first time, and he scored a 94%. 2 things he'd never been able to do, and the only thing that changed in that time frame was him consistently getting his nutrition in his body. And, what a blessing to have. I mean, he literally has a future. He's now graduated from high school. He has, it's amazing to see this guy that was never able to read pick up a book of, he's teaching himself foreign languages and doing stuff online that just blows my mind. And that wouldn't be him. It wouldn't be William if it wasn't for Relive. And I know for us, after seeing what happened for Ruth in those first 3 weeks, we knew we were going to be taking this for the rest of our life. After all the things we tried that didn't work, and we came in at a top profit level and to get the best price mostly. But 6 weeks after we did that, I was standing in the garage looking at all of our empty boxes, and I said, "Wow, I had built a closet for this stuff from other network marketing things that my wife had been in, and now we don't have any product." And I went back and did the math, and we made over $1,500. We've come in 5th in the nation and earned all expense paid trips with this company. We've made over $4,000 a month, and we've been able to bless other people. But there's nothing more fun to see somebody come alive again with it's amazing. And so we'll always be involved with Relive.
Wow, Leonard, that is just an incredible story, not only for what has happened for you, but what has happened for your wife, your son, just the whole dynamics of your entire family have changed. And I would imagine you don't even want to think about where life would have taken you without Relive. So my goodness, thank you so much for getting on our call. And I know that is going to give a lot of people hope. So really, thank you so much. And it's actually a privilege to get to know you over this week. So thank you. And we'll have you back on again.
Very good. You're welcome. Thank you.
Fantastic. Oh, my goodness. Next, I'm going to go over here to Michigan, to somebody who's gotten to be a very good friend of mine over the years. Her story is absolutely incredible. Her spirit is incredible, and it's just such a privilege to have her on the call. So, Sissy, if you could come on and just share with everybody what has happened in your world before and after Relive.
Hi, Tony. Hi, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Perfectly. Nice to have you on, Sissy.
Wow, it's tough to go after a story like that. Wow.
The pressure's on. Okay.
But mine is pretty good, too. So, well, yeah, I love the fact that you make friends for life in this company. That's one of the huge pluses. But I was introduced to Relive 8 years ago, a little over 8 years ago, and I was actually looking for a business opportunity at the time. Little did I know that my health desperately needed those products. I had been sick the previous year, 2007, every month with something different. I had 4 different sinus infections, stomach flus, intestinal issues, heartburn after everything I ate, was severe hypoglycemic. Found out I had gallstones, and came down with a lung infection over Christmas. And I was scared because I was so sick and I was getting worse, and I didn't know how to stop that trend. So when I started to hear the stories, like we're sharing on this call today, I thought, well, maybe this can help me too. And as soon as I became consistent with the product, within the first 4 days, my blood sugar levels leveled off, which was tremendous for me. I was struggling with this every day. Diabetes is in my family, and ever since I'm on Relive, literally, I've not had issues with it, which is a huge blessing. 2 weeks on the product, my allergy symptom went away. And in the first 4 or 5 months, my heartburn stopped, and my hot flashes were gone. So all great results, but I was really focused on trying to feel better and having more energy. And that took quite some time for me, 6 months. Now I understand my body was just so depleted and so sleep deprived for so long. It just took it that long to recover and heal and repair. But after 6 months on these products, that's when a lot changed for me. I really started feeling better. I recovered from jet lag in half the time. I used to be an international flight attendant for a major airline. And I was able to get off my sleeping medication, which was huge for me. I was so thankful for that. And I also noticed that I was able to deal with stress a lot better because my life was so stressful at the time. The commuting to work from northern Michigan and always on the go and leaving my family, my little girl at home, it was very stressful for me. So, but I noticed I'm dealing with that better. I was not stressed out anymore like I used to be. 3 months later, my knee pain was gone and the pain in my fingers, which I lived with for years and years and years. So that was miraculous. But big results started happening later. I used to suffer from severe migraines all my life since teenage years. I had several accidents with racehorses and skiing and had some injuries on my back, and as a result, I always had migraines. Never thought this could help me because doctors couldn't help me. They just prescribed pain medication to me and migraine medication, which was very, very expensive. And so when I got on Relive, I just never figured that would help me with that. But having been on Relive now 8 years, the past 5 years, I've only had an average of 5 or 6 migraines a year. And I had that many almost every single month before. And they were debilitating, so obviously a huge blessing. Another thing happened, that just happened last year. A tumor was found on my left ovary, And everyone was very concerned because my mom had ovarian cancer. Knowing what I know about Relive, I flooded my body immediately with lots of products. 2 months later, I had an operation, and when they removed the tumor, there was not a single cancer cell found. So obviously, it's been an incredible blessing all the way around. And now I take Relive for prevention and just to age better and be able to stay active. The business, I started with the business right away because that's really what my focus was on, and did it part-time because I was flying full-time, had a family. What was neat, I positioned myself at the top profit level because I had very little time I could invest. And so I knew I wanted to earn the most money for my time, which was very valuable. And so after doing that, it took only 8 weeks for me to go through my entire master affiliate order, which was incredible. The neat thing is about this company is you get a support team of 5 people that help you, teach you everything they know so you can go out and share it with people, and that's how this was even possible. I fell in love with Relive, the people involved, the products, just incredible. So I took a leave of absence after I started feeling better. It took about a year to be completely well. And that's when I took a leave of absence unpaid from flying and started doing Relive full-time. And literally my paycheck doubled every single month from a couple $100 to my highest month ever, which was over $7,000 in all forms of income. So that just was proof to me that this will be part of my life forever. Unfortunately, I had to step back at that time. There was a tragedy in my family. I couldn't do Relive at all for quite some time. But what was amazing to me when you hear residual income, the time and effort I had put into this business before has given me a paycheck ever since. And I've worked many different jobs in my life, and nothing ever has done that. So now I left my flying career, and I'm building my Relive business, and I'm very excited about the future.
Oh, Sissy, what a great story. And, you know, my heart will always go back to whatever it was, maybe 7 years ago when I was so sick that I could barely move and I was so out of hope. And I got myself to Grand Rapids, Michigan, to meet Joe and Carol for this first time. And you were the first face that I met. And it was truly, it was your spirit and your urging me to just do this. That really, you're very pivotal to everything that ended up happening in mine and Tony's life. So it's a joy to have you on. And I know truly with all my heart, Sissy, as years go on, there's going to be so many lives touched and changed by you. So just, you're a very special person. Great to have you on. And we'll have you on again so you can continue. We can hear
at future chapters.
Fantastic.
Thanks, too. Thank you.
Great. Thanks. Well, next I'm going to hop over the pond to a gentleman who's he and his wife have become so dear to Tony and I. Their story is amazing. Their spirit is absolutely incredible and infectious. And, oh, my goodness, it's truly an honor and a pleasure to have David Dewey share his story on this call. So, David, if you could introduce yourself and share what life in your family was like before and after Relive, because I know your world has totally changed in the last 7 or 8 months.
Hi, Joni. Thanks for having me on, even though I was only informed about 10 minutes ago that I was going to be on the call. But I'm David Dewey from Northern Ireland, and we were introduced to Relive whenever my wife had been diagnosed with MIS roughly 3-4 years ago, and she had quite bad pain behind her eyes. She had lost the sight in her eye. She had pain in her arms, numbness in her face, tingly arms and legs and things like that. And she was basically told to be on injections for the rest of her life. We were put in touch with Relive around 8 or 9 months ago. And within a very short space of time of being on the product, my wife, Rachel, had great results in the products. Within the first few weeks, she had a massive increase in energy. And from that, then maybe a few weeks after that, then the pain behind her, the eye where she had lost the sight in, had pretty much gone. And the numbness and the pain in her arms and legs and her face had all disappeared as well. So that was absolutely amazing, totally incredible for us. And, you know, I can honestly and safely say that I've got my wife back again, because it used to be whenever I would go to bed at night, my wife was just lying there sleeping. She was in bed before me. Whereas now we go to bed now, she's able to talk to me, and we can have a normal sort of husband-wife relationship, which you would normally expect, you know. But then whenever my wife got the results in the product, I was kind of, suppose, bullied into taking the products myself. I thought I was fine. I thought I was normal. But within after a few weeks of taking the products, I noticed a massive increase in energy. The alarm clock going off in the morning was always an issue for me. The alarm clock always beat me. But once I started the products, I was actually lying awake waiting for the alarm clock to go off, which was totally awesome. Also as well, I would have been getting sore heads maybe 2 or 3 times a week, taking painkillers regularly, but I just thought that was normal. And within 2 or 3 weeks of being on the product as well, I noticed that the headaches had stopped, and I'm now in the products probably 6-7 months, and I haven't had a headache like that since. Also during the day, around sort of 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I would have took a massive dip in energy, just a real low. And whenever I started to take the products, that dip disappeared, and I don't need to reach for biscuits or sweets during the day to sort of give me that energy. Now, what that did, whenever we got those results, whenever we were doing so well in the product, we literally couldn't keep our mouths shut. We were telling our friends and our family, and very quickly we went to the top profit level of 40%. We could see, the master affiliate level. We could see that the potential of the business. We had no intention of looking for a business. The business found us. And within the first month of being in the business, the company paid us £125. Now, we didn't have to do an awful lot for that. We literally just connected with our upline, our mentor, and they helped us and coached us to do the thing properly. So all we really were doing was setting up appointments, and they did the work for us. And by that, we were then learning by what was said. We just continued doing what we were doing, and in the month of November, we placed top in Europe, which was absolutely fantastic. Totally unexpected to us, and the company paid us quite a healthy bonus. And I think that month we actually earned just slightly below £2,500, which for us was just absolutely mind-blowing that we could earn that sort of money in such a short space of time. Only in the business about 4.5 months, and we'd hit top in Europe and earning that sort of money. The overspill from that really is that my wife was a childminder, looking after our own children, 3 children, plus looking after another few. She was actually able to give that up at the end of January. So she is now doing Relive full time, and hopefully, not in the next, hopefully as soon as possible, I can give up my job and join her in the business as well. So that's our story.
Oh, David, that is a fantastic story, and and I just want to say to people, you never know when you talk to people who will be the next David Dewey. Truly, Rachel and David, because when I first contacted Rachel, Tony and I did, David was kind of in the background saying, us Irish folks were skeptical, and Rachel, I don't really want you to buy it, and we shared about the business and everything, and they're like, oh no. And then look what has happened. I'll be, I know,
I'm the sort of person you would call as being your worst nightmare.
Well, you know what? You turned into from the worst nightmare to what we dream about. And I know it's absolutely wonderful that you guys are feeling so well, because I'll tell you, I know this to be true. You guys literally are working around different clocks and different time zones, staying up to the middle of the night, helping people all over the world and starting early in the morning. You wouldn't be able to do that without having this great nutrition in your body. And oh my goodness, I know as time goes on, you're helping a lot of people in Northern Ireland and all over the world to build what will be really terrific organizations and change their life just as yours has been. So, oh, David, it's good to have you on. This has been a phenomenal call. I want to thank our speakers, Leonard and Sissy and David. And I do want to say, Relive does not claim to cure anything. When you put the best nutrition in your body knows what to do to start to repair itself. And you've heard some great stories about what's happened with the business. You know, there's no guarantee that the same thing will happen to you. You may earn less, you may earn more, you know, but the more you go out there and share, and ironically, the harder you work, the luckier you get. It's absolutely unlimited what the potential could be. So I want to wish everybody a great Thursday, what's left of Thursday.